an attack on the capital of Russia, and whether they have the remotest idea of the ramifications of that behavior.
Well, the combination of arrogance and self-delusion is very powerful. Remember, the majority of people that you're dealing with in Washington today still view Russia through the lens of 1994-95. They think they're dealing with a failed state that has a weak economy, a society that is on the verge of revolt. I mean, these kinds of things are widely believed. None of it's true. Anyone else with half a brain understands the economy in Russia is very strong. Russia has the resources and the capability to last indefinitely. They have a huge manpower pool. I mean, we go down the list. It's just not true. But unfortunately, these delusions persist. And then you add this to arrogance. And they think also that we are the same military power that we were in 1991. And Judge, we're not. There's nothing we have today that the Russians do not also have. Whatever advantages we once had in many key areas, they're gone.
You've seen this clip before, but I can't resist the temptation of running it past you again in light of what you just said about arrogance. Here's Victoria Nuland about 4 or 5 months ago encouraging an invasion of Crimea with American military support.
There is a drone base in Crimea where the drones that the Iranians have given Russia are being launched from. There are command and control sites in Crimea that are essential for Russia's hold on all of the territory, including the land bridge. There are mass military installations on Crimea that Russia has turned into essential logistics and back office depots for this war. Those are legitimate targets. Ukraine is hitting them, and we are supporting that.
There's the battering ram argument, right out of the mouth of the number 3 official in the United States Department of State.
Yeah, well, she's telling you the truth. Everything she said is accurate. I obviously don't support the policy position. She would have made a great spokesman for the Soviet armed forces back during the Second World War in 1941, when the heroic forces of the motherland were throwing back the Wehrmacht. We all know that didn't happen. Went on for years. So this is the sort of thing you just take it in. You understand that this person is part of a partisan group of people who are determined to keep us at war, and not just us, but our allies. And they will do anything in their power to sustain this. And if that involves lying, then so be it.
Here's another one of those partisans, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, just 4 days ago, meeting with President Zelensky in Kyiv.
Nice to meet you. How are you, sir? We have, I think, the full meeting.
Thank you very much. Thanks, United States, people of the United States, for all big support. Thank you so much. Free or die.
Free or die.
Now you are free.
Yes.
And we will be.
And the Russians are dying. It's the best money we've ever spent.
Thank you so much.
Well, now, how reckless is that? The best money we've ever spent is on Russians dying.
Well, there are two kinds of fools. There's the harmless fool that tells funny jokes and is self-deprecating, and then there are dangerous fools. This man falls into the second category. He's a dangerous fool. He does not understand what he confronts. He does not understand the consequences of our actions that could ultimately spread to Europe and ultimately to the United States. Russia is not just a great power. It is one of the great powers on the planet. And he doesn't seem to get it. He doesn't want to believe that. He's happy with the delusion and the arrogance. And that's what you saw.
Remember, he, at the outset of the military conflagration, advised President Biden in a very public way that Putin should be assassinated.
Yeah, of course. Well, look, the Senate is a strange place, Judge. The Senate is the closest thing that you're going to find to fantasy land in politics. It's kind of a Mount Olympus with a circus on it. And people bloviate in it all the time, saying lots of things for which they're never held accountable and which that don't really ultimately involve themselves. They say it for effect. He's one of the best. Says lots of things for effect. And he assumes that there's no buck stopping at his door. And he misses the point that dragging us into a major war with Russia would be catastrophic for us, for Europe, for the Russians.
But he's one of those people, whether they call themselves neocons or supporters of the military, whatever they call themselves, he really never met a war he didn't embrace. I don't mean personally embrace, but politically embrace.
Well, he's a combat lawyer, remember. He served as an attorney in places like Iraq and Afghanistan for brief periods as an attorney on the staff of generals. So he knows all there is to know about war. These people are dangerous because...
Did you ever drive a tank in combat?
Well, I mean, he just doesn't understand, doesn't get it, and he doesn't think there are consequences for his actions or his speech. He's wrong, and I think we're going to see that in the near future, unfortunately.
Here's Deputy Secretary of State Newland again. This is just over the weekend. It's unclear to whom she's speaking. It sounds as though she's speaking to Ukrainian leaders or elite in Ukraine. She may be in the U.S., but perhaps via the computer is speaking to them. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts on what she admits and what she expects.
And even as you plan for the counteroffensive, which we have been working on with you for some 4 or 5 months, we are already beginning our discussions with the Ukrainian government and with friends in Kyiv, both in the civilian side and on the military side, about Ukraine's long-term future.
We'll start with the offensive, about which they've been speaking since the wintertime. Spring is almost over. Tomorrow's the first day of June. I don't want to get semantic about whether it's truly a spring offensive, but are you surprised to hear her say in public, we? That either means the State Department, the CIA, the DOD, the Biden administration, the federal government, have been working with you on the spring offensive for 4 or 5 months. Why in God's name would she say that, even if it were true?
Well, she's very proud of it. And she wants to identify herself publicly with the entire crusade to destroy Russia. And that's what this is really all about. She's telling you the truth. And I'm sure that we have worked tediously for many, many months to try and organize for this thing, particularly as the Bakhmut slaughterhouse was underway. That's why 30 to 35,000 Ukrainian soldiers who've been training at areas in the United States, Canada, Germany, the Czech Republic, and elsewhere are coming back to Ukraine. They're going to form the backbone for much of this offensive. They'll be augmented by whatever is still alive and can carry a weapon and so forth. So no, I think she's telling you the truth, and she's very proud of that. The second part is actually more interesting.
Yes.
Because it reminds me of this scene. I don't know if you've seen it or not. Many of your viewers may have, in the movie Downfall. At the end, just before Hitler shoots himself in the bunker, one of the women comes up to her and says, "But mein Führer, what about the inevitable